Hello everyone and welcome to Techno Home channel. You may have seen some lightweight custom Windows ISOs like the Tiny 11 or Ghost Spectre, but with all due respect to people who have put their time making these ISOs, using custom Windows ISOs from unknown sources may cause security issues. So in this video, I'm going to help you make your own.
Oh my god! Wow!
Lightweight Windows custom ISO using NT Lite tool. So let's get things started. NT Lite has a paid and free version. Here we're gonna use the free version and I think it's enough for most people. You can download NT Lite from the official website. I'll put the link down below in the description. After installing NT Lite, just open the app and that's where things begin. You have to tap on the add option, image, and go to the directory where you downloaded the official Windows ISO from Microsoft website and open it. Now you have to choose the version you want to edit. As an example, I will edit the Windows 11 Pro. Tap on it and tap on the load option here. I also have to mention that you will need some free space in the driver you've installed NT Lite to uncompress the ISO and editing it. Now you have to tap on OK and wait for a few minutes. The waiting time actually depends on the system specs you have.
6.5 hours later.
And now you can edit the ISO. First part is updates. Even if you download the ISO from official Microsoft website, you will always have some cumulative updates or some security ones, which you can add them from here. But gotta say, downloading and including them into your ISO is only for the paid version, so we can't do it here. The next part is the drivers part. Here you can include your drivers for your laptop or PC. The only thing you need to know is that the driver files need to be in the .inf format, so keep that in mind. The next part is the registry. You can edit some registry files from your PC, but that's mostly for some pro users. What people usually do is going into the system registries. You have to tap OK in order to actually changing the registry files. You gotta go to the HK local machine, software, policies, Microsoft, and then Windows and Windows updates. People usually disable the automatic Windows updates, and for that matter, you have to set the value as 1 and then tap on OK. And done. Now we go to the Components tab. Here you can select what drivers your PC or laptop will need, but the only option you can change is just the USB devices, which I don't really recommend touching. Next part is the hardware section. Here you can disable some functions which does not harm the system, such as the individual devices. Individual devices allows the Windows to install drivers based on your PC's or laptop specs. Next part is the ISO image, which I guess is not too important, so I just skip this part, and the localization. When you install the Windows, it comes pre-installed with almost every languages, which just take some space from your drive, so you can just deselect the ones you don't really need. And then in multimedia section, here allows you to install the Xbox related stuff such as the game bar or the Windows personalization themes or even the default wallpaper of the Windows, which is interesting, I guess. The network part, which I recommend you not to touch anything here, especially the Internet Explorer part, because the Internet Explorer, which is for the HTML viewer legacy, is needed for some old coded websites. Next part is the remoting and privacy. Here is mostly about the remote connections such as the remote desktop. I will try to make a document and share in the description describing what each available option really does. Next part is the system. Most of the options here cannot be changed and they are needed in order for the system to function just fine, except for a few options which again I'll include them in the document down below in the description. And Windows apps, which I guess most changes are from here. You have many applications pre-installed on your Windows, which you don't really need. As an example, Cortana, Feedback Hub, Get Help, Tips, MSN Weather, and more, which you can just deselect everything you don't really need, and it's all okay. Same for the system apps. You can just uninstall some of them, especially the Xbox game UI. If you're not a gamer, I don't really think you really need it. So that's for this part. Now we head to the scheduled tasks. I don't really recommend changing anything from here unless you are a pro. And then we go to the features tab. Here you can set what options will be enabled by default when you boot up the Windows for the first time. As an instance, when you boot the Windows subsystem for Linux and Hyper-V, which is used for the virtual machines, are disabled by default, but you can enable them from here. Then we hit to the settings section, which you can literally change everything from Windows settings from here, like changing the accent color for your Windows UI, or selecting how the control panel view should be displayed, like the classic icons, small icons, or the large ones. You can even set what DNS should be used in your network, or you can change some power controls like the fast startup. I usually disable fast startup because it seems to be making some bugs in your system, at least in my case. And you can also change some shutdown menu options. I personally like the hibernate option, which is disabled by default, and I will just enable it. And oh, another thing I forgot is the privacy section. In privacy section, you can allow apps to access some of your Windows features like the camera, contact, file systems, and stuff like that. You can change them from here. I personally don't need to change them, but I really recommend you to disable the telemetry option, because the telemetry option collects some data from your PC and sends them to Microsoft, which takes some of your resources. And yeah, I think it's a must to disable, especially if you have a low-end PC. You can even change some start menu options. For example, I've enabled the settings, features, and downloads here, which you can do them from here as well. And when you hit to the Windows Defender tab, you can just enable or disable the Windows Defender from here. And in the Windows update, you can select if you want auto update for your drivers or the Windows itself, which is cool. I guess you can just disable or enable them from here.
Okay.
And then we go to the services part. Here you can change other options, and I really recommend you to also disable the telemetry option from here as well, which is, yeah, enabled by default. And then we go to the extra services. I don't really recommend changing anything from here because you can just break the system. I personally never touch this part. And the last but not the least, the unattended section. Here you can set and add a local account. For example, Ali Reza, display name ALKH30 1180. That's what my username is almost everywhere. I don't know, a password. If you just don't need a password, just leave this section blank. And yeah, I've already made a user with that name, so let me just use A and done. Yeah. Here you can change some settings like the UI language, or you can set a time zone for your usually when you boot the Windows, the time zone is not right, or at least that was for my case. But where's Tehran? Oh, it's here. And you can set to use the username you've just created. Skip the online account setup, especially the Microsoft account, which is needed. I really hate this part, and I always disable it. And yeah, you also have the option to enable the to write the product key and activate your Windows, or you can just enable or disable the dynamic updates for your Windows and many more, which is just very cool.
You serious?
And at the end, you gotta go to the apply options. The thing I really like here is you can just save the image here as a standard, or you can even compress it. I highly recommend you to compress the ISO files, especially if you are using a flash or memory which is below the, I don't know, 16 GB. But yeah, if you have 16 GB, then it's fine, you can go for the standard. And you can trim other additions you didn't edit. For example, I haven't edited the Windows 11 Education Pro and Enterprise, and yeah, that's it. Then tap on the create ISO, enter a name for your ISO. I just keep it NT Lite ISO, and then add a label for it, like the Win 11 Pro 22 H2. Tap on OK and tap the process. And I have to mention that you need to also disable your antivirus here. I don't know if you're using a Windows Defender or other third-party antiviruses, so keep that in mind and then tap on yes, and you have to wait for a few minutes. That's it. Now that your custom Windows ISO is ready, I really recommend you to try it on a virtual machine first before installing it on a real computer or PC. I hope you guys enjoyed this video tutorial, and see you in the next ones. Peace out.